Right, going live now. We're live. Hi, this is Lakhi Singh, the fixer, with VJ Sal today.
Yeah, VJ Sal today. So the roles have not been reversed. The technology has been reversed. So, Mr. Singh, good morning. Lakhi Singh, the property fixer, with the alternative business and property solution community. How are you?
I am very well indeed. Thank you very much.
Obviously, excellent. And you've got the controls of the technology today, apparently. You have the controls. You're like a pilot. You're on a mission, and you are on the mission to take over the marketing of the alternative business and property solutions today. Lakhi Singh, you have all the powers. You are like a Superman. You are like Spider-Man. You are like the fixer, the ixer, the mixer, the shaker, the maker, the acre, the quaker, the mover, the groover, the walker of the square mile. You are, but if you are not anything less than the Superman without the kryptonite. Good morning, Lakhi Singh then. How are you? How is the United Kingdom? What's the weather like?
I'm very well. The weather is nice and mild today. It's not too cold. I'm trying to do tech and talk to you at the same time. Not really good at multi.
Tech and talk to me at the same time. That sounds very ambidextrous or multitask.
I don't think I can actually get into all the comments at the moment, so I don't know why. Actually,
excellente. I will speak to you in German, Spanish, French, and English at the. Good morning, sir. You're already getting a good morning from Bob Singh. Is watching you like an eagle, watching your comments or listening to your comments. What's the latest on the United States, sir? Apparently, Joe Biden has won the elections, or is it still up for counting?
I haven't had a chance to check this morning. I think he was way ahead in the lead the last I checked yesterday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
So, don't know. So, yeah, good morning from Bob. I can read that actually on my phone, but I can't see it on my laptop.
Yeah.
So, I'll have
good
to
morning.
Practice doing the hosting again next time on the tech. I've got to learn, I think. So, Lakhi Singh, the property fixer, has been beaten by the
technology.
Bob Singh saying it's still counting.
Still counting. Right, but Mr. Trump has said it's a complete fraud, and he has dismissed the whole electoral system, and people are very disappointed with the American democratic system. But anyhow, topic for this week, obviously, is that hustlers don't sleep, they merely take naps. And obviously,
further, I've got two users saying good morning, as well as Amar Ali saying good morning. So good morning to all of you.
Welcome good morning. And who are the two new listeners?
Welcome to the show.
Who are the two new listeners, Lakhi Singh?
I can't. So I've got Amar Ali, and the other two users I can't tell. I think it's Meena Kapoor and John Smith.
John Smith. Okay. Good morning to John Smith, Meena Kapoor, and Amar Ali. Right, sir. So continue. What's the weather like in United Kingdom, sir?
The weather is mild. It's not raining. Seems quite nice out there. So the sun is out.
Excelente. What are you doing today, sir? Are you still making moves? Are you going to the office? Are you now housebound? What are you doing? What's the program? What's the formula for Lakhi Singh, the property fixer?
Well, the issue is that I normally have my meetings set about 4 or 5 weeks in advance, so I've got a full diary. So
very organized.
The other issue is that a lot of the people that I'm meeting, they normally have a immediate requirement for finance, and are in a situation where they need somebody to turn around and maybe a legal issue that's quite technical, and might be going through about 300 or 400 different documents with them. So
300 or 400 different documents. That sounds very.
So we just had a client that's come in who's got problems with LPA receivers. So we're going through a structure of getting barrister opinion on it.
Excelente. And what do you normally do? Do you use the old-fashioned paper trail system, going through all those documents, or are you reliant on some clever software or client relationship management system, or what do you use, sir?
We use a system in-house that's a CRM system for recording, managing, and keeping up to date with all our clients.
You're very technological.
My PA is exceptionally good at using it, and I've trained them up really well to make sure that they use it well. Whereas everybody else is not so efficient, especially the other directors.
Excelente. That sounds like someone who's going into the 22nd century already. And are you able to teleport yourself to the office as well, Lakhi Singh, or do you drive to work?
I normally drive into work, yeah.
And you're not using the teleport machine yet?
I'm not as yet, no.
Being that you're so technology friendly, you're very techie friendly and savvy. Okay, so the question being...
Well, I'm trying to sort out the tech. Maybe you can give us a quick brief on the topic. Just give me a second.
The topic being is covert, and the US elections going to have a damning effect on the financial sector and on the property and housing. Is there going to be a major shock now that we've got over the initial bit of the election? Then we're still quite sort of like 50-50. We don't know. There may be a serious challenge to the results, or it may just be a drawn out, protracted handing over. So if it gets protracted and Mr. Trump isn't happy to let go of his play toys, then that means there could be some nasty litigation to go through first. So what do you say? How will that affect the world and its economy?
Well, before we go on to that, we've had a few comments by Bob Singh saying results are not out till the weekend, and he's saying that the USA is a complex voting system. My opinion on what's happening is that whatever happens, you have actually got a fallout internationally with the global economies because of COVID-19 and a recession. And yesterday there was also a talk on the BBC about a double dip recession. And I think, as we all know,
a chocolate dip, is it, Lakhi Singh, that you put in one of those salad sticks?
It's a little bit like that. So a double dip is when you put the chocolate back in again. And then if you have too much chocolate the third time you dip, is actually, it can lead to anxiety. If you after 3, if you can't get any more, that could lead to a depression. Yeah.
Excelente. I like the way you metaphorically.
Quite a good analogy, actually. I don't know why nobody uses that one.
You've metaphorically turned that around, sir. Yes, the eating disorder, bulimia, and the economy. That's what we should call it. Sorry for all those out there who've got an eating disorder, but yes, it's like having somebody take a double dip into some chocolate to get out of their eating obsession and end up depressed because they've eaten all the chocolate in the first and the second go. There's nothing left. That's probably what they mean by double dip, sticking both your fingers in at the same time. Anyhow, taking away from all of this technical talk on finance, Lakhi Singh, what do you say to the fact that will the financial market suffer? Are we going to have turmoil in lending? What do you see happening on the lending horizon? Are we getting lots of liquidity for lenders to lend out money? Or are you finding that borrowers are turning up and walking away crying in some respects? I think you said that you had people turn up looking for equity funding who were literally teary-eyed once you said no to them. Why were they teary-eyed, Lakhi Singh?
Well, the problem is that about 50% of the institutional market in the UK for bridging has closed down shop. They're no longer lending. That's quite a large amount, 50%. It's not like a couple of lenders. We're talking about half of them have stopped lending. And the ones that have been lending a lot and that are still lending are being extra cautious in what they're lending to. So anybody that's actually looking to buy bargains in the falling market, fair enough, you might be able to buy bargains, but if you haven't got the liquidity to do so, then what do you do? Because no point really having an advantage in terms of being able to source assets. But if you haven't got the liquidity or the financial structure to do so, then you may as well not be in the arena.
In the arena, as you say. Right, okay. So is this a perfect storm for new bridging companies to come up with new ideas of lending money out? Or is it just that the market's totally dead and a lot of the security doesn't mean anything anymore? It's not worth anything anymore. What do you say to that?
So a lot of the institutional lenders that I know, they are going out and they're playing, they're reassessing their whole actuarial type system, which is the way money is made using lending. So the actuarial element of what they do is actuaries. They're paid to look at the risk and ensure that there is no risk and they're making pure profit. So a lot of them are now reassessing their policies and their structures, and the general policy is going to be, this is what I can tell you now anyway, this is sort of like an unofficial announcement, is that if you've got quite a lot of let's just say lowly geared assets, so say again you've got 5 million portfolio and you only got £500,000 worth of debt, and you're going to go and borrow money to do projects or borrow to purchase £1 million asset or £2 million asset, they look at your whole situation, and if they know that you are already in the top echelons of lending because you're a high profile, knowledgeable, clean credit, so you're going to be the extra, you have to have that extra bit of oomph about you to be able to want them to lend to you. So there are a couple of 100 million, 200 million funds that are coming out, but what they're doing is they're being more specific about who they'll lend, but they won't lend anybody who hasn't got a track record, say. So the whole financial market is changing, and anybody who's, let's just say, trying to get into the market, this is their third project and they've got no real collateral, they've just been jumping from one project to the next and trying to make their money. Then there is a bottleneck that's going to come round, because they're all predicting that the whole market is going to tighten in the next 3 months.
Excellent. I think certain things that tighten are beneficial. I think certain things that tighten.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got quite loose trousers and they're going to fall down, if you haven't got a belt, then you've got to tighten your belt. And that's the analogy, I think, for today. It is, you've got to tighten your belt, otherwise you're going to be exposing yourself.
Exactly.
To the financial market, of course.
Yeah. So being a bit tight is not a bad thing, I think, really, is it?
Yeah. So being a bit, well, you have to be tight, otherwise you're going to be exposed.
And what about the effect on the property market? Because remember, a lot of the property, most properties in the United Kingdom, I mean, next to nearly all of them rely upon finance, don't they? I mean, that's the way that UK has the second largest service-led market in the world, or probably the first hub for the service-based industry. So all the larger finance houses and insurance companies, etc., they're all in the United Kingdom. But if their market gets totally turned upside down because nobody wants to dabble in the property market and the property market itself goes into turmoil, then what happens?
Well, what happens is anybody that's got money, that's got that sort of money, they are usually funded by very large either private investors or hedge funds. So they're going to have to be particularly careful in terms of what they're doing. If they're not, they're really going to all the investors lose faith in them. So, by the way, I've got at least 4 or 5 people saying good morning now. So I've got Sonia Lambert, Mandy Sandy.
Sonia, yes.
And Sonia is also saying that it's a bit crazy what's happening in America. Let me just check. She's saying that it's sad and a mad state of affairs. So I like the pun there, sad and mad state of affairs, because all the states are a bit of a mishmash at the moment in terms of what they're doing.
I like that mishmash. That's
so
very
I think,
Deborah
Sophia Magdalene. Deborah Sophia Magdalene is also good morning, Lakhi, and VJ Sal.
Deborah, yes, good morning. She's probably
sending vibrations to us.
Sending her vibrations through her trees. Yes.
That's right.
So mishmash, that's also funny. Mash, that's the American comedy. That sounds about right. Very clever.
It's a play of words, young man.
Yeah. Clever play of words. Do you know any of those billionaires who exited 2-3 years ago, Lakhi Singh? Do you have access to those type of people?
Yeah, I know quite a people in that space, sitting in Mayfair. So I'm sort of quite reflecting on my dealing.
Lend money to any of those people who've got a criteria of lending money to people who look super cool, wearing sunglasses and reversed caps.
Yeah, I doubt you'll get any money, VJ Sal, because they do look at people, how they look, and you don't look anywhere near like somebody they'd want to give money to.
I need lend, like I need to borrow money. Right, okay. I will change the image then. Right, Lakhi Singh, continue. We're going in a direction because we have been governed by what America is doing. And as we said yesterday, America sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cold. And we were saying that if the world catches a cold, Lakhi Singh is a bit like a dried portion of bogey that's fallen out of the American nose, but he's got lots to say. So tell us more, Lakhi Singh. What do you think is on the horizon? Can you see something on the horizon?
Well, like I said yesterday, talking very strategically to people about what's going to happen at that level. They may not really understand the reality of what's going to hit them on a practical level. So I'd rather keep it very practical.
Yeah.
So we had a client in yesterday. We went through his 20 million portfolio and found that although he's got quite asset rich, he's only got about £5 million worth of lending. It's not really that easy for him to take money out from some of these assets because they're not the assets that the banks are interested in. And then he's also had a few knocks with his credit. So although he can get money, the cost of the money is going to be quite expensive because of his track record. So I think those sort of situations, a lot of it just means that you've got to be extra savvy in terms of understanding and knowing lenders who are more likely to lend on those sort of situations. And that's the lucky part where Lakhi comes in.
Excelente.
Because I've got access to at least about 15 or 20 specialist lenders. And even the lenders that do lend to the normal market, there's about 70 of them that could probably help this particular client. A lot of it is about having a more of an influence at director level. So if you've got a bit of a name and a reputation, and then if you present your case well enough, like what Bob Singh says, then there's a possibility or a glimmer of hope that we can get you a decent package of lending as well. We're talking about commercial lending, by the way, not residential purchase. Yeah.
Okay, right.
Just hold on. I've got Neil Sodia Kawikimat King saying good morning as well. That's a quite interesting name.
Good morning. These are all new names. So we've got Sonia's already been with us, and we've got Kavichi Mark King, like that. Is that someone who's like Martin Luther King, like the civil rights activist?
It sounds like the same person.
What about the first one? What was the first name?
It's Neil Sodia.
Neil Sodia, yeah. Right, okay. So we continue as we were. And thanks everyone for the shout outs. And again, question goes, Lakhi Singh, you're a man who has seen lots of different environments. You've probably been through, I mean, in your lifetime, at least 17, 18 depressions and a few recessions. So what do you say to double dip? Is that really a depression that we're around on the corner? Are you saying life is a bit more sophisticated now, so you can't be in a depression? Worst case, we're going to get this double dip. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, I think what's happening is the reason that they've set up this called the Alternative Property Business Solutions Community. By the way, Neil Sodia is now saying his supermarket's called Quickie Mart King from Simpson, and he's written LOL.
Yes.
So basically, that's quite clever. I'm going to write Lakhi Singh, the property fixer, next to my name now for Facebook. But it's a bit of a mouthful, but people might think actually my surname is the property fixer.
Well, you are synonymous with the fixer, and if you're resisting your brand, then I think it's a shame on all the hard work that's going in creating the brand that you've done. You're probably missing a trick there, Lakhi Singh, the property fixer, or Lakhi Property Fixer, or
I think I've got a lot to learn still.
Pardon?
I've got a lot to learn still about the techniques. So if I had a Quickie Mart, I think I would actually be putting it up there. Lakhi Singh Quickie Mart. That's quite a good name, isn't it?
Quickie Mart. Yes, please. Quickie Mart. Have you seen the guy in there? What's his name? Quickie in Simpsons, the guy who owns Quickie Mart. I think it's Mr. Patel. Is it Mr. Khan?
Oh, yeah. I can't think it's Mr. Patel. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Mr. Patel. Anyhow, okay, moving on from Quickie Mart. So what do you think, Lakhi? Talking of Simpsons, actually, I mean, this is a fact which is fascinating and surprising. When we say elections are free and fair, the Simpsons cartoon had Donald Trump on one of their episodes at least 8-9 years ago, being presented as the President of America, and certain pictures or captions that were presented in Simpsons apparently happen to be or have a striking similarity to certain real life photographs that have been taken of Donald Trump after, I think, when he was announced as being the president. So do you think the Simpsons are behind the administration? Is running everything.
I think it's well, I know that you're joking, but I'm just thinking. I think the powers that be would always know what's going on, and if you're really well connected in Hollywood, you know who the movers and shakers are because you're out and about with the people with the money. And I think, especially in the certain communities, I won't say which one, you know, maybe the Rothschilds or the Rockefellers, all these guys are going to know really what the next move's going to be. And because it's probably a bit too exciting for them, they can't really, you know, they want to let off some steam. They don't really want everything to be sort of hush hush. They will let out messages subliminally just as a bit of a laugh, and to sort of laugh at people, thinking, okay, well, we know, but you don't know. You're not in the know, but we can release this information in a clever way. And in some ways, it's also planting a seed as well. So when people see it happen, then they're not also surprised, because if you really think about it, it is a bit ridiculous that anybody like even close to Trump actually gets voted in because of his demeanor, his misogyny, because of his, you know, hundreds of negative traits, which are not really, you know, not really the type of person that you want as a friend, let alone as a leader. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So
just, before we go on, I've got quite a few messages come today. It's like,
let's read the messages out.
Was this busy? So
it's probably you, the personality. Lakhi Singh, you're attracting
Neil Sodia Quickie Mart King has said, I should change my name to Lucky Quickie Property Finance. I like that one, but he spelled it Kwiki. I think he's trying to get a bit of marketing for his company. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what it's called in Simpsons, Quickie Mart.
Really?
Yeah, it's called the Quickie Mart. So he's got it in the right way.
So we've got a lot to learn from Neil, I think.
Yeah, probably don't want to learn from your own team. Probably want to learn from Neil only. Probably a good idea. Probably the right way to be in your organization.
Okay, I was being sarcastic. Chrissy Khan says, morning, guys.
Chrissy Khan, good morning to you too.
And Bahan Noor is saying, great to see new topics being addressed every day. That's good.
Yeah, I'm sure, Mr. Noor. Yeah, go on.
And then Deborah is saying, yes, it's called predictive programming. I think that being relation to some of the points we made earlier. Oh, yeah, I think we're talking about the Donald Trump thing. And
okay, predictive programming. I like that. So you're saying he was programmed to be president. Deborah, I
no,
want you to
he's saying
comment on that and we can follow up on it.
the media is programming the populace in getting them to accept things that normally would be beyond their comprehension that is possible.
Ah,
That's what I've
okay.
understood of it.
Predictable. You
And
need to
then,
highlight that. You need to dial her in. Let's get her to explain it. Predictive programming. I like that. Sounds like a
so
sci-fi movie, Lakhi Singh. Sounds like Minority Report. Sounds like I'm going to know when you're going to the toilet, even before you know it. Yeah.
let's not go.
Yeah, go on.
So I haven't worked out the tech to get people on here.
Right,
Or
okay.
put the program out because
Okay.
I think I was only told about 20 minutes before that I was going to do the program. But I can
It's
get it
all
done in
about
about 5 minutes.
it's
I
all
can do it
about
in
your
about 5 minutes.
abilities, isn't it, Lakhi Singh?
Deborah, are you available to come on for about 5 minutes to give us the predictive programming angle?
Oh, she can give it in the typewritten comment, Lakhi. Just
You can give us a comment then, Deborah.
yeah, see what she says. What is predictive programming? And we'll read it out and work it out. Okay, Lakhi. So we've
Okay,
got
hold on
a
one
US
second. I've got
election.
another
We've got
comment from
Donald
Neil
Trump, who is
Sodia.
an alien. Pardon?
And I've got another comment from Neil Sodia. He's saying,
Yeah, and you
he's
too.
written lol, then he's written, why can't you guys put some sort of investment plan where people can join in, like a Shakti group?
Shakti Group. I like that. Saju, Lakhi Singh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, I like that. It's a good idea. Maybe the new angle on crowdfunding, Quickie Mart funding. How's that?
Yeah,
Quickie
Quickie
Mart
Property.
funding. Mr. Patel
Lovely.
funding.
I
Yeah,
think
Quickie funding.
Neil should be really a full-time marketeer. I think
Yeah.
he maybe wasted in
Yeah.
his Quickie Mart.
Yeah, so do you, Lucky. Anyhow, the most important thing is that we have the elections going on. The environment is becoming turbulent. We can see the sea waves rising. I can feel myself feeling seasick. What's going to happen next, Lucky? What do you think is going to happen next? Do you think? I mean, this is a wild, wacky idea that was thrown to me the other day that Donald Trump is going to potentially start some major catastrophe or conflict somewhere to divert all of the people's interest from him handing power over and him becoming a temporary president in anticipation of Joe Biden because there is war or something. Is that a scenario that could actually happen? Is that weird and wacky, or is that something that could happen?
Well, he's not been elected in yet, so it looks unlikely now based upon the results so far.
Who's not being elected in yet, Lucky?
Donald Trump.
No, he's still the president. He's not been elected as he is the president at the moment. If he's not the president, then how can he hand over the presidentship to Joe Biden?
Well, if they're going to a major election now, so imagine a couple of weeks or a couple of months before everything then.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's my point. That before he hands over, he creates some major deviation or some distraction, and then goes through as being a war president in waiting of Joe Biden, and then all of a sudden the whole thing turns around. Is that possible? It's weird and wacky. It's weird and wacky. Could that happen?
I think, yeah, there's a strong possibility that he could literally do something now. And because he's in fight and flight mode, he's probably capable of anything.
Okay. So what would you do?
By the way, I've got tons more comments here.
Yeah, let's read through them then. Let's read through your comments.
Mandy Sandhu is saying, By the way, thank you, Mandy, for coming on our show yesterday.
Thank you very much,
Mandy.
Mandy.
The COVID was first seen on The Simpsons also. And Deborah sent me a link to howstuffworks.com, https://people.howstuffworks.com/predictive programming.
Excellent. That's excellent, but we want your comments. Mandy, very serious. So we knew about COVID. So anybody who's not watching The Simpsons is missing out on a major trick. We need to recommend The Simpsons are actually put out on Bloomberg and on the NASDAQ for people to do a lot of their predictive thinking. Okay, yeah. Any other comments, Lakhi Singh?
Because what it is,
that's like a thinking comment. Someone's thinking. Who's that, Lakhi Singh? Who said
Mandy's saying thank you for inviting me yesterday.
Thank you for being invited. Who said Lakhi Singh?
That was me trying to buy time, trying to multitask.
Ah, right. Okay. So, yeah, who else has said something then?
I think that's a lot.
Okay, so it wasn't that large a group of comments. It was, but very interesting. I think, Deborah, you need to give us some pointers on predictive thinking, and we'll see the link after. We'll discuss it next week. Okay, then we continue. Lakhi Singh, you're on the ship, and the waves are getting higher. What do? Do you get into a lifeboat and swim away? Are you supposed to migrate to a destination like a tropical island and just chill and sip pina coladas with your summer shirt on and your shorts and your flip-flops? Or are you supposed to go through the storm and look for a way out? What do you do?
Well, the issue you got is that a lot of people don't even realize that they're in a storm because what you can't see is what you can't perceive. So if you're at home in lockdown watching TV, you're not out and about mingling with people, talking to people, not really understanding the reality of the overspill of what's happening. It's not really giving enough time for people to have a measure of what's happening. So normally people go to work, they mingle with people, they talk to people. If you're not really be able to do that, apart from Zoom calls, the whole level of understanding of the meaning behind things is probably not quite the same for a lot of the people in the UK.
So do you think there's going to be? Are you feel there's going to be some red flag operation while everyone's in lockdown? Is that the purpose of this serious lockdown?
Now, what I'm saying is that we're heading towards a depression because you've already got a double dip. We've got interest rates likely to go up based upon the prediction by Martin Armstrong, the forecaster, and based upon our own predictions going on for the last 10 years. Thirdly, there's money being pumped into the UK economy artificially, and the governments can't continuously put that money in because it's finite. Yeah, it's not infinite.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful that we read the indicators. And my worry is that the same thing that happened to me in 2007-8, where I was, gung-ho thinking, oh yeah, I've got a multi-million-pound portfolio, I'm going to do really well. Then suddenly when things changed, I wasn't really prepped for it because wasn't really looking at what changes could occur and what could happen. So having a plan in place, having a look at contingencies to look at your business, your portfolio, your income, your pension, all these things which are critical to our livelihoods is really important now. So you can't rely upon the system in the traditional sense. You need to rely upon your sixth sense and have let's just say, a reevaluation of all the foundational thinking that you've had behind all your business and your personal finance, to make sure you don't end up getting eaten up by whatever's coming around the corner.
Okay, so, but this way is really difficult, isn't it? Because everything is against you. Finance is against you, no lending going on, no real tangible finance house working, no bridging finance being, lots of the finance houses are being closed, properties are being repossessed, LPA receivers are being appointed. Isn't it really, really, really like a difficult situation all round?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes now. And there's another critical thing that comes to mind for any of you viewers out there. Somebody's asking me, is it a good time to invest now? And I said to them, what do you think? They said, oh, we're waiting for the crash. And then we're going to wait a year, and then we're going to start investing then. But I said to them that it doesn't quite work like that, because if you've got a strategy and a plan and you've got it now, if you assume the crash is happening from now, you might find there's lots of pockets of business opportunities and business deals now, because a lot of businesses are going out of business. Anybody that's going out of business, they're going to have to sell their assets. They're going to need to look for a way of raising funds. They're going to have to look for a joint venture partner or investors. So I think time is now, really, that you've got a window of about the next 2 years to be really looking at opportunities and not really have a sort of head in the sand type mentality, bunker mentality, thinking that hope it all goes away and I can go back to normal. So we want to share the love actually in this group by talking to people, opening up what's happening them with this COVID-19 issue, and just want them to make it feel like it's a walk in the park. And the reality or the picture that's painted actually could be 10 times worse than the perception of it could be 10 times worse than the reality, is the point I'm making. Now, in addition, I think we had another comment from one of the people on there, Sonia Lambert, our guest. Sonia, hi, how you doing? Is asking.
Hi, yes, Sonia.
Sonia is asking, do you think it's a deliberate act to segregate people? I think she's talking about the lockdown. What's your views on it, Vijay Sal? Because my brain's already fried actually from being multitasking, looking at questions.
Right, okay. So having to segregate people is probably not the right terminology. I think it's a excellent test at population control. So remember, there are lots of literature and books and movies out there where people, I mean, simple movies like Terminator, the Uprising, or what's it now? What's the other one? What's the other one? The one with what's his name? What's his name?
I'll be back. I'll be back. Actually, I watched the Commando last night.
Okay, Commando. But the movie which is about him being an agent who goes into a dream and then comes back and he's
Total Recall.
Total Recall. So
I couldn't quite remember that one.
Yeah, Total Recall. So all these movies are reflections of what will happen in the future, and obviously what happens in the future doesn't come around all of a sudden. Incremental steps. So whatever's happening in lockdown, because I remember talking to people in the north who said that they were being told to go back home, or actually being asked where they were going, because the way the lockdown works is so easy. Everybody's got a mobile phone. Everybody has an Android. The chip in the phone is them knowing that you're switched on and you're live on the grid. And remember, a lot of these technologies now don't even need you to switch the phone on, so you're on the grid. They can see your location. You move outside of your house and you're going in the direction of the local pub, and you say to the local law enforcement, I'm going to the pharmacy. They'll know you're not going to the pharmacy because the pharmacy is in the other direction. So I think it's an excellent control mechanism, a test run, I think, in controlling population and people and seeing the effects of it as well. Just like Big Brother, and Big Brother was probably the first test run to see how people behave in enclosed environments. And what they've done is they've taken the learning they had from Big Brother, because they had lots of psychologists and specialists who were observing the way people behave on on Big Brother, taking those tools back. And I think what they've done now is they've taken the learnings from there and now they're applying it on a broader population to see how it affects people and what it does, and do people all of a sudden want to rise up against the machines, or are they going to be compliant? I remember a saying of one of these special speakers, and he said that sometimes peoples and nations are too compliant and they don't question what they are being asked to do. And maybe this is just a metaphor for that. Maybe it's a test run in seeing how we behave and how we don't behave, really, when we're asked to do something that we're not happy in. What do you say, Lakhi Singh?
I would tend to agree with that. I think we don't know what the powers that be are up to. So I think we can only speculate. But if you watch watch a lot of documentaries, understand the nuances of how governments work, geopolitics, mind control, and the amount of spies that are sent from one country to another. Technically, we will never really be in the know the reality of those things. The only way that you may know, like people like Peter Kelly, who I think he was involved in the information about whether there's nuclear arms in Iraq before, and I think because he said there weren't any, somehow I think he committed suicide. I mean, pretty bad, isn't it, for that to happen all of a sudden? So the question is, why would somebody who's in fit state of mind just telling everybody that there's no nuclear wars, and just before we better go to war, commit suicide? So there's lots of obvious things that actually tell you the answers. Just have to read between the lines. But we tend to choose to ignore the obvious because it's far too easy to just believe the hype. And
I think the saying is sometimes reality is so unbelievable that it becomes unacceptable. That's how bad it is. And tell me, if I said to you, you were sitting on the other side of the computer monitoring a full zone of 5,000-6,000 people, watching everybody sitting at home on their mobiles, and knowing that all you had to do was just home in on the person whose mobile starts moving, even if you didn't know that the cat had swallowed their phone. You're tracking a cat around the country. But the bottom line is, isn't that just like enemy of the state, Lakhi? Are you not a bit like the Terminator or the Turbinator? Arnold Schwarzenegger, get down. Or you're a bit like, more probably like, what's his name? Will Singh, yeah, getting jiggy with it. Enemy of the state, running around with a computer inside your handbag. What do you reckon? Is it not that? Is it not becoming all really exciting and sexy? It's like being in a movie. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think the reality is actually now blurred with a lot of filmmaking. And in fact, I just went to get a sandwich from the shop yesterday, and on the way, I sort of met somebody who's in the same office, and I was just talking to them, and we said, actually, this is actually something that feels like a real movie. It doesn't feel like reality. So I think there's a lot of truth in what you're saying, although I understand there's a little bit of, you're being making a joke about it as well, tiny bit.
I'm saying, are you the Turbinator or is it Will Singh? Which one?
I'm probably a bit of both, because I like to know that I've got the dance moves as well, got a bit of swagger. Yeah.
Yeah. So rising up of the machines against enemy of the local.
Yeah, I don't like to pigeonhole myself, but I think there is a lot of truth behind the enemy of the state side as well. But to what extent, I can't say, because that information is not privy to day-to-day people in the city. It's only privy to the powers that be. But just going back, I've got quite a few other updates here in terms of what people have put up. Sonia is saying, Sonia Lambert saying, meant stopping people from communicating with each other face to face, just to clarify. And Deborah is saying, that's my language, the language of love, because we at the group here want to give the love to all you out there. That's why he's put a red love heart to say love. And I just so happen to be wearing a red jumper. Wow.
Excellent.
Sonia has also written, going on what your viewer said about predictive indicators, the Big Brother TV program actually observes behavior of people locked down in a house and the impact on their mental health. So I think she's agreeing with your comments, VJ Sal. That's quite a rare commodity, somebody to actually agree with what you say.
Agree with what I say, because most people think I'm a bit mad, I'm a bit like Penguin, and you're a bit like Batsing. Yeah? All right, that's continue. Right. Yeah. Batsing and Penguin. Mad Hat, or Mr. What's his name? The Joker. Continue.
Yes,
what are the comments?
Those are the comments we've had so far, but appreciate all your comments, by the way. It sounds like
what about 30, 40
we've hit 1,000 people on the group now.
That's already,
we're basically seem to be having a lot more engagement today. So thank you, viewers. We love your comments. Thank you.
Yeah, that was like Donald Trump dipped in a soggy cup of tea, I think. But anyhow, let's continue. The question, look, it's really, apart from us trying to figure out where things are going, I don't know, there's a lot of things all happening at the same time. I think that's one of the confusions people have. You've got the virus, you've got 5G, you've got technology, you've got exit from Brexit, you've got financial crashes, you've got turmoil on the political scene, you've got war and destruction, you've got governmental, collapse. There's so much happening at the same time. I think it becomes very complicated for anybody who doesn't have a sense of proportion to work out what is really happening. And I think for the average man, the average person out there, not a superhero like Lakhi Singh, the property fixer, but for the average man, it must be extremely daunting to think, where does this all stop, and where and when do I get back to my normal life, the normal life that has been created for me? Because remember, none of that life that you're living was your own handiwork. You merely slotted yourself into a job title. You were doing your 9 to 5, paying your mortgage, paying your rent, and paying your bills, buying your clothes, buying your shoes, buying your cars. But were you really in control of your lives? What do you say to that, Lakhi?
Well, I think you're almost giving too much reality to people. They don't really want to know, because it's too much to face, I think, for the majority of the population to realize that their life, they've been living a lie of sorts. So what we've got to remember is that everybody's in a different state of awakening in their lives. And what that means is, you know, our perceptions of our reality of what we want in our lives is quite different from what the government or the banks or the global economy, what it has in store for us. And a lot of people have bought into the American dream type thing, or the commercial dream.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've lost sight of the basic fundamentals, not completely, but in one form or the other. So a lot of people have got lost into, having a bigger house, a bigger car, having more holidays. They've lost sight of really what their purpose is, that, or being more human, or just being very humble and just keeping things really simple. So I think whatever was before, and this is a conversation I've had with quite a few quite wealthy people, actually. They're saying that the reality is going to hit home now, because what was probably ugly behind the beast, the commercial beast, was probably not ever evident to us. But now all of us are going to face a major dent in what's been happening because of COVID-19, because of a recession, because of, let's just say, global economic changes which are beyond our control. Then we're going to have to go back to basics, and whatever we may have built up over a period of years may get wiped out. So there's going to be a huge psychological dent for tons of people out there. Again, we're here to spread the love. The more we talk about it, problem shared is a problem halved. So anybody that's got any sort of problems, we're there to give you support, help you in understanding the psychology behind these things. And then the practicality is quite easy, actually, because with the Property Fixer, we actually, on a practical level, for the last 15 years, as we've been battling people's financial problems for them day in, day out, relentlessly. So if we can't solve the problem, no one can, in my opinion, anyway. And that sounds
Lakhi Singh says we're all going back into the belly of the beast and coming out in the other end as a morsel of something that's not nice, smelly possibly, and his superpowers are the only things that are going to be left. His ability to fly around the square mile and make moves and tap dance and do the moonwalk. But otherwise, everybody's going back to basics.
We've got a few more comments from Sonia saying, people said I was mad when I've got poor eyesight. Hold on. People said I was mad when I said the lockdown would last for 2 years. ! Mandy Sandy said, I agree with you, Sonia Lambert. And Deborah Sophia Magdalene says, we have an opportunity to create a life we want, getting back to what is really important. I mean, it looks like all the viewers have done the show for us today, didn't they, VJ Sal?
Singh now will be flying around without his skinny dips on. He's going to be wearing just a small skin piece of obviously pair of small shorts, and be walking around in sandals, and he will be fighting for his food, fighting with his neighbours in Berkeley Square for that scrap of chicken meat, or probably fighting Chicken George, Mr. Noor, for that piece of chicken wing. So he's going to go back to basics, and it's all either a hunter. So Lakhi Singh, where you see yourself in the future. We'll find out next week. We will join you in the drive time, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Lakhi Singh. See you next week. Take care. Have a lovely weekend. We'll be catching up with you next week. We will start off and we'll have, hopefully next week, lots of new listeners and people following us coming in. There will be a message being sent out at the weekend. Congratulations to the gentleman who's the 1,000th member. And we do encourage everybody to bring along more members. And I think there's also a gift for somebody who brings more than 200 members in. And apart from that, we will speak to you after the weekend. We will know what happens with the US elections. Lakhi Singh, take care. The Property Fixer, 8 a.m., 9 a.m. If we see you flying around with just your shorts on, we will know you have become a hunter-gatherer Superman.